All right, Bradley, we are live. We're going to probably get this thing started in about the next minute or so, give everybody a chance to log in and to make sure this is working for them, figure out your volume settings, etc. Thanks, everyone, for being here. My name is Jonathan Mendonza. I am the host of the Talent Stacker podcast, and with me on the show is Bradley Rice, who is just a Salesforce expert, probably one of the highest paid Salesforce administrators in the world, not only due to his incredible skill set, but also how he's kind of forged his own path in this world of freelancing as a Salesforce administrator. More importantly, and more relevant to those of you that are watching this webinar, he is a great teacher and coach and can convey what he has learned in a very actionable way. There's a lot of people that have information, aren't able to convey it, aren't able to teach it. That is not the case with Bradley. I've been blown away, as have the students that have worked with him, at his ability to kind of pass on his knowledge to them, and they have taken it to unbelievable levels, and they're seeing unbelievable levels of success. That's kind of the context for this conversation. We've created a program. It's a job training program, really to serve this apparent gap. And I'll let Bradley give some more information because he's an industry insider here. But I mean, basically, the setup for this is Salesforce right now, as a certificate program, as a training program, as a credentialing program, one of the most valuable skill sets in the world. I mean, there's almost nothing comparable to it with the amount of input to the expected outputs. And the demand has never been higher, with over an estimated 3 million job openings, this year. Uh, but there's a lot of people that can't get jobs. That just doesn't make any sense because Bradley could fall into jobs, with the skill set he has and with what he has been able to put together, as have his students. And so there's an offering here for the larger community. So with that in mind, what we thought we could do is let's just take an hour and let's find out from the community what is that biggest pain point, and let's work through those. Full disclosure, Bradley and I have a paid program, and we're going to tell you more about at the end of this. The goal for the first hour or so is just to workshop all of these issues, the things that people are bumping up against. And at the end, if you stay for that, we'll tell you explicitly about what we have put together and why, if you have any desire to be a highly compensated, highly paid Salesforce administrator, have a role in just a short period of time, like 6 months, how this program would deliver for you. So just stay tuned for that at the end. But I'm going to give the floor back to Bradley. Bradley, did I misrepresent anything? The number, the amount of availability, whether or not Salesforce does it really pay that much? Like, kind of give people a more accurate sense of the opportunity that's out there right now.
Yeah, I think you did, accurately represent the numbers. And I think it's interesting, and a big part of why we're putting this program together, why we're hosting, a live session like this, is because number one, this was created as a response to a need from the Salesforce community and the people who are up and coming in the Salesforce community. And I see some people coming into the Salesforce community and they're able to land jobs, in 3 months, 4 months, and they didn't even know what Salesforce was. They have no tech background, and they're landing jobs very quickly with great income, right? $60,000, $80,000 first job. And then we see a lot of other people who come in and they get a certification or they get 2 certifications and they're still struggling to land jobs. And so we put a poll in the Facebook group this week because so the Salesforce for Everyone group specifically, and I know we have different people from different groups attending here that may or may not have participated in that poll, but by far, we were able to see really the top 5 or 6 issues that people are having or what they think they're struggling with. And obviously why we're here today and why we're hosting, a session like this is to help answer those questions and give people a streamlined, repeatable approach to finding those answers and landing one of those. I think just in the last year, I don't know if it's millions, but it's hundreds of thousands of Salesforce jobs created. And the fact that you're not able to get into something that's such a wide pool means that someone like me who's having success, and I'm coaching people who are having success, we need to bring that to a broader base and to more people and say, hey, we have the answers. It's not a secret. It's just strategies that need to be outlined and followed so that we can have you repeating these steps and making the money that you truly deserve to make. So we just want to help you get over the hump there.
All right, now we have people watching on YouTube and on Facebook pages and groups. We'd love to feature. We have certain topics that we are going to be discussing. Seawick on YouTube says, If you answer questions, could you please discuss ways to find clients? We'll talk about a little bit of that today. Absolutely. If you have a question you'd like to be included in this conversation on some of the platforms, specifically Facebook, it will ask you to give Facebook permissions to be able to post your question with your name attached. And so just follow those instructions at the top of this post to be able to do so. We'll keep rolling through this. So, let's go ahead and kick this thing off, Bradley, and let's start with what you run probably one of the highest profile Salesforce groups in the country, over 3,000 very active members. This is a community of people that are just helping each other, troubleshooting, answering questions, etc. And this is where we dropped this poll. What is the pain point? What is the sticking point? Because there's a lot of people in this group that maybe they already got the certificate. It wasn't the certificate for them. There's some disconnect between getting the certificate and landing the job. And they're still trying to figure that out. And so maybe they're thinking, well, maybe it's just another certificate or another certificate. And let's go back to the basics, because many people are able to get the job right out the gate with just the first certificate. So we're going to start with the 6 most common sticking points that people in this group self-identified or selected for themselves. And we're going to work through them. We're going to start right now with number 6. And this one was added to the poll by Jay and had a decent number of people say, yep, they're with this as well. It's just, I'm at a fork in the road and I don't know which direction to go. I'm struggling to choose whether or not I only go for an admin role, or even should I learn development to land a job? Is it okay? Is it enough for me to pursue this first job as an admin alone?
Yeah. So I think that's a great.
Hey, real quick, Bradley, I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry, just a second. You got this great, awesome mic, but it's so far away from you. I worry your volume's just a little low. Turn that thing toward you if you can.
All right.
Get it angled. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Just do it for everybody else out there.
Better now.
It's getting there. The closer you get it, the better.
All right.
Look at me. I'll be your role model here.
Okay. All right. Am I there?
He's good at Salesforce. Mic technique, we're still working on.
That's right. I don't use a mic in my day job. All right. So I think it's a great question. So going back to the question, I'm at this fork in the road. I've heard that I can be a Salesforce administrator and that maybe there aren't as many jobs in that space as the development space, right? And a lot of people come into this and they see this fork and they say, I can either be an admin or I can be a developer. So the first thing I want to point out is there are so many other areas of Salesforce that you can explore. There's Marketing Cloud, there's Pardot, there's Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, CPQ, Field Service Lightning. So the fork in the road is not, there are a lot of forks in the road, right? You're not choosing between admin and CPQ.
It's not a fork, it's a tree.
That's right. There's this massive deviation there, and you have to choose which way to go, right? Well, the good news is you need to first focus on just being an administrator, because that is the fundamental of understanding Salesforce's functionality and the way it works for companies. So let
me push back. Let me ask you this. Are you telling me that in good faith, if I were just an administrator and I understood everything else that we're going to be talking about, I could just with my administrator certification be making $60,000 to $80,000? Is that what you're saying?
Absolute 100%. Absolutely. Yes. You can be making 60 to 80,000 with the entry level admin certification. Absolutely. If you have additional certifications, that's a plus, right? Anytime you can diversify yourself and show additional skill, that's a plus. But I think as we get into this session today and we move through the questions here, we're going to continue to highlight that. Are the certifications important? Absolutely. Do you need 3, 4, 5 certifications to land your first job? Absolutely not.
So it's almost like that person, you got to question, is the person afraid to actually go to the next part where they ask for the job or look for the job? So instead of doing that, well, let's just get another certification. Like if that's the mentality, that we got to fix that, because let's start getting paid for our skill set. Is right?
It's spot on. And it's so funny because if you go to LinkedIn or you go to these Facebook groups, you're going to see so many people saying, yes, I got this certification. Look what I did. And that's great. And you should be proud of your accomplishments. However, I see far less people making a post saying, I landed my first job. Look at this. Look what I've been able to accomplish. And that's what I want to see. I want to see way more posts of people saying, I landed a job. My life is actually changing. Things are going up. Like, it's going to be great. I have a career in front of me. But so many times I'll see someone post that they got a certification and I'll come in and I'll say, hey, great job. What's your plan from here? Like, what's next for you? And I want them to say, I'm applying for jobs in XYZ. I'm cleaning up my LinkedIn profile. I'm going to showcase how valuable I am to these clients. But the response I get is, now I'm going to go try this other certification. And that's fine, but aren't you looking for a job? Like, the fact that you're getting certifications, the end goal is to get a job, right? So let's focus, yes, on getting certifications to prove our value, but make sure that those certifications, we're attaining those for a reason. And the reason is to land a job and start a Salesforce career. And we need to focus in on that.
Dude, that you nailed it. So that's why what we built and what we're going to be talking about at the end of this is a career development program. This is not a how can I have the world's greatest number of certificates, right? That's great. We can show you the process for that. It's repeatable, but what we want for you is a transformation. Let's get you in a job paying 60 to 80,000 and then let's build from there. You know, there's a clear path to 200,000 to 300,000. There's a clear path. But if you're waiting to get 12 certificates to start now I'm going to go straight apply for my first job and it's going to make $300,000 a year. Why?
Yeah, and it's never going to happen. And I even tell people, my advice from a career development perspective is, if you have 3 certifications and you don't have your first job yet, I would even advise you not to get more certifications. If you want to study and you want to continue to get better and you want to prepare, by all means prepare. But when I'm looking to bring people in for my clients and looking to pull people in for some of my clients, I'm a little, it's a bit of a red flag when I see somebody with 5 certifications and they haven't landed a job, because it tells me that either potentially they're using exam dumps to cheat the system, or potentially they have already been applying for all kinds of jobs and being interviewed by countless other companies. And for some reason, all those other companies are choosing not to hire them. So maybe I just want to skip to somebody else. So I just say, be weary of the certification treadmill and sort of that hamster wheel that you're on. And you're just like, certification, next certification, next certification. I typically advise, if you want to be dynamic, get Salesforce admin, get platform app builder, get platform developer 1. If you want to be a super strong admin, go Salesforce admin, advanced admin, and then maybe go Sales Cloud or Service Cloud. But you need to have a vision for your certifications that are leading you towards a goal, which is the type of job that you want to have. Stop getting certifications just to do a post on LinkedIn and get 10 likes. That's not the value.
I got 12 likes, dude. All right. Hey, no, this is great. So it's, if we're building these certifications in the context of growing our skills, in the context of we have our job and we're getting paid to do this, and we always want to be getting better, I respect that. That's the right mentality. You're doing it the right way. But again, we're beating this drum. We're going to move on. If you're thinking there's one more course out there that's going to help you cheat the exam and give you yet another certificate, and that's what's holding you back, you've already lost. Like, let's take a step back and let's do it the right way. Let's create rockstar Salesforce talent. There's good news out there, because there are many individuals that did just exam dump. When you actually know what you're talking about, when you can translate that to an employer and share with them 3 things, explain to them 3 things they thought of, how to execute on that, and maybe 3 things they didn't think of that you can do to decrease their expenses, increase their ROI, they're going to jump all over you, right? And that's what a career development program does. It teaches you how to translate certificates, which are supposed to represent skills, how to translate skills into interviews into job, and be highly compensated in your field. So let me show you guys this Facebook user. I'd love to answer your question directly. If you want your name to be attached to this question, just going forward, you need to give Facebook permission to do that, and the instructions for that are at the top of this live. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and take what we just did and let's iterate on this. So Facebook user says, my company just started using Salesforce and I was appointed as the lead change champion for my market, and I'm helping test the system before rollout, and then I'm helping with the rollout and helping people navigate and how to use it. Should I go for the admin certification and try to grow within my company? Try to grow within my company and look for Salesforce jobs in my company, or should I leverage my current experience plus certification to look for freelance? So there's a couple pieces in here. I don't know if we have all the information. It sounds like, Bradley, they are uncertified right now. They've landed in a Salesforce job without a certification, and they're wanting to know, okay, I'm learning it. What is my order of operations here? And I'll get your input on this, but just as I'm reading this, you've already got the work experience taken advantage of. That's amazing. Let's build our experience out. Let's use while we're working in this role to get the certification. And then let's see whether or not our company values us at an entry-level salary for a Salesforce expert in the US of probably 60 to 80,000. And then from there, we can build on that experience within a year or so to see whether or not they're going to keep paying us to stay here or whether or not there's greener pastures elsewhere. Because it wouldn't be improbable for you to be making it up close to 100 figures plus by end of year 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's spot on. And it's that exact thing, right? So if you're looking to get into freelancing, just pull back the reins for just a second, get the experience that's in front of you. This is my advice. Take the experience that's sitting in front of you. Now, if these guys are paying you to be a lot of times when clients get Salesforce or, these companies get Salesforce and then they appoint you internally to be the Salesforce lead and they want you to get admin certified and all these things. That's great for jumpstarting your career. But if they're going to pay you $40,000 a year, then you're already leaving money on the table. Now, do you want to sit with them and get a few months of experience and get your first certification? Yes. But at some point, you need to make sure that they're paying you what the market is valuing you at. And as a beginning Salesforce administrator, you should be getting $60,000. So I would immediately, after I get a couple of months of experience, get your first certification, I would immediately be leveraging your experience and your certification to say, hey, look, this is what the market demands. I need to be making $60,000 for this to be beneficial to me. I love working here for you. I appreciate the company and what you're doing for me, but we need to make sure that this works both ways. So I would continue to leverage that there. To get into freelance and really dominate the freelance space, I would recommend getting a solid year of experience and then getting, hopefully in that first year, you land 2 or 3 certifications. And this allows your freelance clients to truly understand your value, plus you trust your value. So I would sort of pull back the reins on freelancing, get your first year of experience, work on getting certifications, and get paid $60,000 to $80,000 in the meantime.
Awesome. And I love that idea about taking it back to your employer. Your employer knows the market rate, or they will. After they do some research, you say, I'm going to need a rate. Like, you should be internally marking yourself somewhere at that 60 to 80 range based on your own research, but that's the range. And then if you love your company, you love them, then great, give them a chance to keep you at somewhere in that range,
Yep.
And if you're looking for the door, then paying for your admin certificate just made it a lot easier. So something along those lines. All right, we are going to move on. Thank you, everyone, for your questions, participation. Definitely drop it in here. Dan has a question about freelancing. We will come back to this a little bit closer to the end. We have a few more questions. So, Dan, we're not going to lose your question. We'll come back to it. Sticking point number 5. Man, I'll have to throw these up on the screen. I should have written them out ahead of time. But sticking point number 5. I land interviews, but I don't get offers. I land interviews, but I don't get offers. So what we're working through are the 6 most common objections that people that are in the Salesforce for Everyone group, but feel stuck for some various reason, that have not taken Bradley's program. What are they bumping up against? And keep in mind, we're building this career development program to solve all of these. So that is with this intent, but we want to help you guys, even in the meantime, just kind of get a sense for why the pattern that we observe and why we created the content we did. So, Bradley, I land interviews, but I don't get offers. What are you thinking of as you hear that?
Yeah. So number one, the good news is you're doing something right? You're able to land interviews, which I'm sure a lot of people listening to this right now are going, I can't even land interviews. And just wait a minute. I promise we're going to get to you. And we're going to talk to you about even how to land the interviews. But if you're landing interviews, you're already doing something right. It means you're showcasing your skills and you're finding jobs and you're applying for jobs that are good fits for you. Now, if you're not getting offers, there's a couple of issues happening there, right? It means that you look really good on paper. You look really good on your LinkedIn profile. Maybe your resume looks good. But then when you show up for the interview, something falls apart there, right? They brought you in for a reason. And I think the other thing to get over is that when people bring you in for an interview, they want to hire you. Like, by the way, they're not looking for reasons not to hire you. They're looking for reasons to hire you.
There are 3 million job openings. There are hundreds of thousands of job openings. Like, you forget the number. There's hundreds of thousands. They are hoping you're the one. This is not one of those where they have to, they are required to interview 40 people before they can't find 40. They are trying to hook you. What is the disconnect when you walk in that room or that Zoom interview? Let's be real.
Yeah, exactly. So I think one of the main things could be, if you're landing interviews and these are virtual interviews, think about what you're doing. And this, I mean, we just lean in so hard on this. in the program itself. But think about what you're doing on those virtual interviews. Are you separating yourself? Are you differentiating yourself from your competition? Because every step of the process is a chance for you to be better than everyone else who's applying for the job and interviewing for the job. So, what are you doing to be better than them? Are you just relying on them to ask the right questions that you hope they ask and you're going to have the right answer prepared? If you're just waiting on that, chances are you're throwing a shot in the dark and you're probably going to bomb the interview. So, especially with virtual interviews, there's so much opportunity to get the lighting right, get the audio right, get the distractions out of the way, be prepared visually, all these things that make the experience so much better for the interviewer. We're not even talking about your ability to do Salesforce. We're talking about someone getting on a call with you. You're on time, you look presentable, the lighting's good, you don't have to scramble for a computer charger and figure out oh, my computer's dying. Hold on a second. None of that. There's no distraction, and they can focus in on you and your skill. And hopefully, the video that they're seeing is similar to what you see with mine and Jonathan's, shares right now when we're, sitting here on these webcams. It looks somewhat enjoyable, right? It's easy on the eyes. If you can create that, you're already ahead of the person who's got the dog walking around in the background, and you can see people in the kitchen, doing whatever they're doing. So virtual interviews are a huge opportunity for you to stand out from all of your competition by doing the right things there. Now, if you're landing interviews on top of that, a lot of people struggle to research companies properly. And what they're doing is they're sitting over here Googling, how do I research a company? And they're getting the knowledge of the 10,000 other jobs in the world that aren't Salesforce jobs. You need to understand how to prepare for Salesforce interviews properly. And so when you research a company as a Salesforce professional, you are in a skilled position in a very specific role for that company. So what that means is nobody wants you to come in and be able to tell them what products they sell or where their company's headquartered or the good news that came out last week about their stock prices. No one cares about that. That doesn't apply to your Salesforce position with that company. They want to know that you understand business processes and you can add value to their company. You can streamline their processes. You can make them better with your skills in Salesforce. So how are you going to do that? Well, in the program, we show you how to identify the company's business processes as well as their competitors' back-end business processes before you even show up for the interview. You're going to flow that out in a document. So you actually are going to have a document that says, these are how your back-end business processes work. And we show you the strategies to do that. So that when you walk in there and they ask you, hey, what can you do for our company? How can you add value to our company? You're actually going to show them a diagram outlining some of their back-end business processes and how they compare to their competitors, and you're going to blow them off their feet. So the other thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to talk about the program just for a second, is that you are going to have, number one, the opportunity to do mock interviews. We'll do mock interviews with you. We'll give you feedback. But not only that, you'll have access to a recorded archive of all of the previous mock interviews that we've done with other members and the feedback that we've given them. So you are going to be able to learn from the professionals, interviewing other people, and showing the success that other people are having. And I can guarantee you that by the time you move through this program, you're going to walk into interviews with the confidence to know that when you leave, they are going to feel impacted by what happened in that interview.
Now, this is a really interesting question from Ratika. I hope I said
Yeah.
your first name right. And I'm just curious. I think it's valid. First of all, there's a disparity between what a Salesforce professional would make in the United States versus overseas. There's also a disparity in the job market in both. But because Salesforce is a worldwide company, it can be done remote, it can be done from anywhere. There's an opportunity for an arbitrage play here. So, but you need to understand the secrets that we're talking about. You need to understand how do you market yourself. And Ratika's saying there's no Salesforce jobs in India for freshers. All companies want at least 2 years of experience. Please tell me something about this. Now, so we got a couple obstacles here. We have a market that maybe pays less. We have a more competitive market where more people are doing this. what is our best practice for differentiating ourselves to the point that maybe we're not even competing for a job in an India market? Maybe we're getting a job overseas where maybe instead of making 30 or 40, maybe the rate is 60 to 80 or beyond. I mean, there are individuals that have figured this out, right?
Yeah, for sure. And an easy way to get over to sort of break down the barriers, the actual barriers of where you live, what country you live in. The easy answer to that is independent consulting or freelancing, because you can work as a contract resource for companies anywhere in the world, right? Now, you still have to be able to interview well, and you still have to be able to showcase your skills, but it's much easier to get over some of those hurdles of, for instance, if you live in Canada, which has a great Salesforce ecosystem, there's a free trade agreement between Canada and the United States. So you can apply for jobs just like you live in the United States. So that makes it much easier. Now, there's not a free trade agreement between the United States and every other country in the world, right? So there are hurdles that you have to get over, and there are forms that you have to have. But if you can move into the freelance space early, and you'll see this, a big push for moving into getting some of that key experience as a freelance consultant, you can move into that and sort of defeat the borders very early on. And don't worry about how many jobs they have in India, but worry about how many jobs there are globally. Now, to answer that question specifically, though, I don't think that's just India. Like, maybe your experience is searching for jobs locally, right? That issue that you're stating right there is worldwide, where people are saying, everybody says they need 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience, 4 years of experience. And there are key takeaways from that, right? So this is going to touch a little bit on item number 3. So this is like hot topic number 3, and that's okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and tee it up, and then you can tie it back. So
Yeah.
for people, we're moving through our list. We'll come back to Bradley's point in 3. I don't want to get out of order, because it's important that we work through these in the order that people have voted on them.
Yep,
Let's respect the process. So, all right, moving on. We'll come back. Number 4, the number 4 most common objection or obstacle that people that are on the path to a Salesforce career are bumping up against: I'm struggling to stay motivated and find the right materials to pass certification exams. When information is ubiquitous, when you can Google anything, how do you verify the veracity, the accuracy, the quality of the content and find the quickest path? Sometimes free can be very expensive. So, Bradley, what do you think? What would be your response to question number 4? I'm struggling to stay motivated, and I'm finding myself weeding through content that isn't helping me.
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest hurdles for beginners in general. It's one side is the motivation, right? One side is that you first need to understand that you're not going to dive into Trailhead, Salesforce's training platform, and spend a week in there and get your certification. So first, level set with that understanding. People go to school for 4 years in universities to try to land jobs making $50,000. So you're not going to jump into Trailhead for a week and jump out of there making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. That's not a reality. That's a get rich quick scheme, right? So is it much easier than going to school for 4 years? Is it 100% achievable in less than 6 months? 100%, absolutely. But you need to be ready to dedicate what I typically call about 10 hours a week for about 2 months to get your first Salesforce certification. And so you're going to need to be in a mindset where you can stay motivated for 2 months. So first off, bite that off, digest it, understand that you're going to have to put your head down for 2 months and stay focused on this. This isn't overnight, but it's very fast. Now,
you guys need to understand the resentment I'm feeling from the position I'm sitting in. So I spent 4 years in undergrad, then 4 years in pharmacy school. I graduated with $168,000 in student loan debt, and I was making $120,000 a year. Now that is a significant cost, and the return on that, like, in retrospect, it took me an additional 4 years to pay off that debt. What we're talking about here, compared to my process, if you don't want to call it get rich quick, it sure as hell is get rich quick-ish. I don't think there's another ROI based certificate program like this. There's a couple, but it's not very many. And this is probably the sweet spot right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, and even somebody here, Facebook user says 10 hours ain't much. And I agree with that. 10 hours a week is not much, but for some people, they come in and they think they're just going to understand this stuff right away, and then they lose motivation. So Let me tell you about how to get over that hurdle. Let's answer the question. So, how do we get past that hurdle? How do we stay motivated? Number one way to stay motivated is to be studying material that actually gives you that feedback that says, I'm getting better at this. I'm understanding these concepts. I can see a vision where I'm actually moving forward, where I can utilize these skill sets to be valuable to companies. So that's number one, is if you can feel the progression happening, then you're going to be able to stay motivated more actively. So how do you study the right materials? I've talked about this in depth. Is it Mike Wheeler? Is it Focus on Force? Is it Trailhead? Is it 6 different YouTube channels that I go watch? Is it 6 different blogs that I can go read about? Is it Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups? You can drown in the material that's out there, and you can spend 10 hours a week studying something that doesn't even get you close to learning material to be good at a job or to pass a certification or anything else. So number one is following the right materials, following the right processes. Number two is really facilitating study groups, which is what we do inside this program. Is we bring people into study groups, and you can do it at your own pace, right? You can do it alone if you want to. If you don't want to be part of a study group, you don't have to be. But you can go with a slow-paced study group, an intermediate, or a fast-paced study group based on, are you working a full-time job right now? Are you in school right now? Are you totally unemployed right now? You might move at a different pace. So being held accountable to other members and being inside of a community of people who are all pushing for the same goal and the same outcome can be a massive motivator. So just being involved in these communities, seeing it in your Facebook thread, seeing it on your LinkedIn thread, and constantly sort of really putting yourself and submerging yourself into the Salesforce world of people actively getting their first jobs, that is your motivation. And then you see these posts where people say, thanks to you guys, I just landed my first job making $70,000. That's motivation. Those are the kind of posts you need to see.
I think there's one question here from Facebook user. It says, I did 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 3 months. 10 hours a week is not enough to pass the exam. And so I thought of thoughts about this. First of all, that is incredible work. You saying that you're willing to put in 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 3 months tells me you have the ethic. You have the work ethic. Now, what you need is some directional accuracy. You need to be applying that with a mindset on ROI of your time. You can't. Not all information is equally valid. Not all information is going to help you pass the exam. And in fact, probably based on what you just said, you probably already have 80% of the exam figuring out, but you probably have blind spots, and your blind spots are probably like other people's blind spots, but because they were leaning on a particular resource or because they noticed some patterns, they were able to bypass that. So you might not be as far away from the passing the exam as you think. Bradley, are there particular parts of the admin exam process that you find it's really helpful to find good resources for?
Yeah, there are particular parts. Security stands out as one of people struggle with security a lot, and they don't realize how much they struggle in this sort of area. And we have resources available, and a lot of that is stuff that's already out there. Like for instance, Focus on Force and Trailhead are the number 1 and number 2 places to prepare for your Salesforce certification exam, especially the admin certification. If I studied, and this isn't coming from me guessing, right? I'm not sitting here saying, study 10 hours a week for 2 months, and I think you might be able to pass the certification exam, or you should be able to, or that's about the right amount of time. No, it's coming from the fact that I've already coached hundreds of people, probably close to 1,000 people now, to getting a Salesforce certification. Getting a Salesforce certification is easy. There's a process there where, like I said, 10 hours a week for 2 months, and you will pass the Salesforce certification exam if you're following the right process and studying the right material. You can go watch YouTube videos about admin certifications for 10 hours a week and not know anything. So it's about following the right processes and studying to pass the exam. So this isn't coming from guesswork. This is coming from ask the community, ask the people that I've worked with,
right.
How long did it take you? We have people, if you're studying for this for 3 months, we have people who don't know what Salesforce is getting certified and landing jobs in less than 3 months. So getting certified is not the hurdle. We have people getting certified in a month. So
as someone's hearing this, don't take this as this is not a criticism of you. It's just, what if it was possible? What if this was your day zero? All the work you did up to this point has actually made the next 3 months the easiest thing to ever happen, because all you needed was a little bit of direction. and you were about to give it up because you're like, wow, I did 8 hours a day,
Mhm.
5 days a week
Mhm.
for 3 months, 10 hours a week. Maybe I just don't have what it takes. And now, as a result of this conversation, you're saying, oh, wow. Okay, cool. Where's the easy button on this? Right. And then here's the process. Take the work ethic that you've already demoed that you had and apply it to something that we know will work. And yeah, and here's what I want people to hear. The certificate is the easy part, right? What you need to do to advance your career and build a life for yourself around this skill set is build the skill set. So like take the certificate for granted. This is not a course teaching you, I mean, it will, but this is not a course. The point of this course is not for you to come out and be the most certificated person in the world of Salesforce. The goal is for you in 6 months from now to be making an incredible income following your passion in this industry.
Mhm.
It's a career development program. And so
Yeah.
if you have these limiting beliefs, I worked hard, it wasn't good enough,
Mhm.
then just start over. Start over. Where could you be in 3 months if you had direction, if you had insight, if you had a community of people that were helping you get there?
Yep.
All right. Should we move on? Was that number 4?
I think that was number 4. We can jump
All
into
right.
number 3. Yeah.
Jumping to number 3. Now we teed this up. Now this was the one that we kind of parsed, and we're coming back to it because we're going to close the loop. And this was the third most common sticking point that people self-identified. I don't see job openings that I'm qualified for. I don't see job openings that I'm qualified
Mhm.
for.
Yeah, this is a major one, and this is a major block for people. And it can cause them to get frustrated or get discouraged, and then they walk away. So we have another one there with the same question. Requires at least 2 years of experience. Where should I look for entry level positions? So this is really interesting to me, right? And let me just tell you that there are job openings for you. It's about understanding how to search for those properly. And let me tell you also that you've probably clicked on a handful of job openings that are perfect for you. And then you've clicked away because you saw a couple of things that said, we need this certification, or we require you have this much experience, or we require you have this and that. So you probably already landed on jobs that were perfect for you, and then you walked away. So here's my number one piece of advice, and we lean so deep into this and understanding how to search for jobs, and not even, we have people that don't even apply for jobs. They have people reaching out to them because of how well they showcase their skills. They actually have people who reach out to them and say, hey, I see you just did XYZ. I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile. I'm looking at your resume. Would you be interested in an interview? So you don't even have to apply for jobs sometimes, and they'll come to you if you do this correctly, because Salesforce is so in demand. That's what we're trying to tell you. This is not trying to be one of the few who get the job. You're trying to be one of the hundreds of thousands who get the job. So we're not looking at some little niche where only a few people get the end result. So to answer the question, when you look at a job posting, do not focus on those one-off little one-line sentences that say, we're looking for 3 years of experience. We're looking for admin, platform app builder, advanced admin, sales cloud certification. And then what I want you to focus on is going down the list and looking at the actual duties of the job, what they're pointing out. Because what you're going to notice in about half those job postings, they're saying, we need you to be able to build reports and dashboards. We need you to be able to manage our users as they come in and out of the system. We need you to feel comfortable with process builder automations and lightning layouts and giving field and security access to users. And then if you really start to think about what they're asking for, you start to realize they're not looking for somebody with 3 years experience or 2 years experience or really any experience. They're looking for me, because everything they're describing on this list of requirements or the job duties are things I'm really good at. But then they say I need 3 years experience. People don't, because Salesforce is different. And when people are hiring for Salesforce roles and recruiters are hiring for Salesforce roles, they don't quite understand how to make the job posting. So keep in mind, just like anything you do, they're probably copying a job posting from somewhere else, and then they're pasting it in, and then they're subbing in some Salesforce stuff, and they're clicking post job. That's how they're doing this. And then they're copying that template and they're pasting it for 5 other jobs they have available. So keep in mind that the reason they need a Salesforce professional is because they don't know what Salesforce is. So their requirements aren't going to be perfect. Their stipulations aren't going to be perfect. Here's the thing. If they say we need an entry-level Salesforce administrator with 3 years experience, in any other job industry, that typically is an entry-level person, 1 or 2 years experience. In the Salesforce industry, with 3 years experience, you could be working at a consulting firm making $150,000 a year. You are not entry level if you have 3 years experience with Salesforce.
There are no entry-level Salesforce people with 3 years of experience.
Right. That's exactly
That's a
right.
unicorn.
And if you have 3 years of experience and you think you're entry level, then come talk to us about why you should be making $100,000 plus. So
we need to get you, all of you, everyone listening to this, if you're part of this program, this career development, the sole goal of this is for you to have the confidence that you have the skills. Now, we'll give you the tools to be able to communicate that, but our goal, yes, we'll show you to pass the certification. That's the easy part. That's so easy. What is going to differentiate you from everyone else is the fact that you have the skills, absolutely have them locked, and you have the ability to communicate them to prospective employers. So they are begging you. They are saying, we need you. This is what we're actually seeing right now. Bradley, I did an interview with Bradley actually just the other day. You can check out episode 3 of the Talent Stacker podcast. And we were talking about the secret is it's not the certificate, but embedded in that was that employers, if you know what an employer needs more than they do, and you can communicate that, that's when you have recruiters begging you to switch ships. That's when employers are actually trying to figure out how to get Salesforce just so they can get access to you. That's when employers are actually looking for someone like, how can we find someone that just right out the gate, it can just crush the skills. So this career development program is all around this. And we actually just had a comment here. I wanted to come back to this just for a second. Give me a second. Let's see if I can find it. Did I already lose it? Where was, I lost it. There he is. Fritz, what's up, man? I see you. I met Fritz at Camp Fi a while back. He says, how does someone not make the same mistake I made and get lost on trailhead chasing badges and points? Because the larger goal is more fun, dude. Let's get a job. That's why you started. You didn't just start it for a badge and points. That's fun. That's gamification. That keeps it super fun. But you got started on this path because you wanted a job. You wanted to change industries. And that is, go ahead.
It's direction, right? It's having direction. When you're new to this, it's a wide open world of where do I go next? When you have people and mentors in front of you on coaching calls with you and as part of a community with you and working with you day in and day out, you have direction, you have guidance, you have mentorship. So somebody should have been standing there. I shouldn't say they should be. You could have had someone standing there saying, hey, you got your first certification. It's time to turn off the trailhead. Like, you can keep studying if you want to, but that's not your primary focus anymore. Now we got to land jobs. Oh, but I'm not getting any interviews. Let's fix that. Oh, well, I'm getting interviews. I'm not landing jobs. Let's fix that. Do you think you're the first person to ever look for their first Salesforce job? Because you're not. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who have gotten their first Salesforce job. How did they do it? We know how they did it. We've built this into a repeatable process. That's why when we're looking at the middle of a pandemic and unemployment at an all-time high, you can come over and watch our people land jobs every single week because we are showing them repeatable processes that work. I would argue that they work 100% of the time. If you are putting in the focus and effort that we're asking you to put in, get ready for a Salesforce career.
All right, guys, I'm going to go and drop the program here. We have 2 more, but for those of you that were like, all right, dude, let's just get started. I don't got time to wait. I wanted to do this 3 months ago. I tried doing it on my own, but, just the motivation wasn't there, whatever. There is the link now in the group to the program, and we'll have it linked up afterwards as well. But you can enroll at any time. And the goal is with this program to, over the next 6 months, get you in a job making 60 to 80K. The Salesforce 6-month career development program. We're going to keep going. And I love your questions. I love your feedback. The point here is that you can ask anything. You can have any objection and let's work through it. Like there shouldn't be a reason that this won't work for you. There just should be, all right, what would it look like if it did work? Let's workshop that. So the objection number 2, the biggest hurdle, sticking point, actually, Bradley, you mentioned it in passing. I apply for jobs, but I never land interview. I apply, so I've got my certs. I'm not holding back. I'm going to the next step, but no one ever wants to talk to me.
Yeah, I've literally seen this with somebody from my YouTube channel came in and they said, hey, Brad, I never get interviews. And I said, send me a link to your resume and your LinkedIn profile. And he said, okay, fine. Sends me a link to his LinkedIn profile. I gave him a 10-minute glance over with some updates. He had 3 interviews the next week. It's about showcasing your skills properly. How do you showcase your skills properly? Well, we all know this. Most of us know this. If you don't, then get ready for some, a key tip right here. LinkedIn is the number one place to showcase your professional profile in the Salesforce space. That may not be the same for other industries. That may not be the same for other jobs. Salesforce, that's the fact. People focus so much on their resumes, and they're like, "Hey, can I send you my resume and I'll take and you can take a look at it?" Like, I don't want to look at your resume. Send me your LinkedIn profile. Nobody sees your resume. That's hiding on your desktop somewhere. People see your LinkedIn profile every day. So we need to get LinkedIn right before we spend a minute on a resume. Who cares what a resume looks like? On top of that, you can generate your resume out of LinkedIn. You can click generate my resume right here and click save. So if your LinkedIn is on point, your resume is already built. So a lot of these key understandings of my background photo, my profile photo, if you don't have those customized, if you haven't spent 30 minutes just working on your profile photo and background image, then you're already missing, because as soon as I click on your LinkedIn profile, I want something that's visually appealing, and I want to see what's next. If I click on it and I'm like, oh, this looks dull or grainy, I'm out of there. So I want to see that. I want to see your title look sharp. I want to see your about section is on point. Your job history should all translate into why you're valuable as a Salesforce administrator. I don't care if you were a teacher, a bartender, or you used to be a CRM consultant for a different CRM system. Everything should translate to Salesforce. And there are ways to do that, and we can coach you on how to do that.
All right. Facebook user says, is this program only for people that are trying to get certified? My simple answer for that is, this is for people that are trying to land a high-paying job in a new career of Salesforce.
Correct.
If you're still working through your certification, then obviously the tools will be there to make that a stress-free process. Mm-hmm. But this is for you if you're on the path and you're like, I don't have time to wait. I would like to, within the next 3 to 6 months, I would like to be in a job making 60 to 80K in this new career. If that's you, you're ready to bring it. You're ready to be a rock star talent. You're ready to get this skill implemented, learn it. And here's the thing. I was trying to say this earlier and I wandered. I saw it. But what I was trying to go with, the key here is that you have these skills. When Bradley was talking about that recruiter that's looking for someone to connect databases and figure out how to clean their list, secure the list, all those sorts of things. When you've built this skill set up, you're so confident that you can communicate it, and you're actually looking for new problems, or you're seeing your employer struggle, bump up against something. You have a group that you can go back to and say, here's what I'm trying to workshop this week. How can I build on this? What are the best practices? What are the best solutions? Your skill set is upping every single week. The certificates are done. You're not going to be going back to that program after you're done with this, outside of maybe you trying to get another label at some point. In reality, what's happening is your actual skill set, the things that you can do, your arsenal of tactics to improve your employer's ROI and decrease their expenses is rising exponentially. You're a rock star. They'll barely be able to afford you. That's how good you're going to be. That's what this program is helping you implement. It's a process to get there. Do you see the difference? The first was, if I have a certificate, maybe they'll give me a chance. The second is a position of confidence. I know what I possess. I know what I can do. They're lucky to have me, and they're competing for me. And I know how to market that to the external employer. This is what we have to get. And I don't care what market you're in. I don't care what the pay structure you're in. The process is the same, right? If this is international, what we just laid out is the same. Everybody worldwide, doesn't matter the pay scale, they're all over here thinking, I hope they'll give me a chance. And they're going to do that lack of confidence presents itself with you overcompensating by getting a degree and cert after certification. This says, I'm going to get the baseline I need, and I'm going to focus on skill development and communicating those skills. I'm going to figure I need to be a brand. I need to turn myself into an outward-facing brand. I need a prospective employer to view me as a brand with my LinkedIn page, with my skill set, my ability to communicate that. You're going to be marketing that. You're going to be disproportionately marketing that compared to your peers, and it's going to unlock doors for you that everybody else thinks, well, you need to have 2 years of experience. That's the possibilities here. This is a holistic approach to you landing that first job. So this is a great question from Tatiana. Do you see difference in job postings in New Jersey or New York or over other places? This is the amazing part. This is remote work, right? I mean, Bradley, you weren't kidding about that. I could bring it up. We could do it on a screen share. I will in just a second. But this is true. Most of the Salesforce jobs are remote work, right?
Yeah, the thing about it specifically now, in your first job, are you more likely to need to be in office some amount of time? Sure. However, especially with the pandemic right now, there's a lot of companies that don't have anyone in office right now at all. And chances are we're going to be moving very quickly in a direction where that becomes the norm. It's already the norm right now, but very quickly, companies are going to start bringing people back into office, realize it's not valuable. There's going to be more companies willing to hire people remotely. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on people who want you in the office to make it remote for you too. So the thing is, are there differences between job postings in different areas? Sure. Okay. There are differences between job postings in different areas. Um, does Salesforce have 200,000 plus customers worldwide? Yeah. So the fact is, I grew up in rural West Georgia. We had multiple employers using Salesforce. We had companies that were, hospitals, big tech companies, I should say small tech companies, big for our town. They use Salesforce. We have people who created roll-up garage doors to sell to these big storage unit facilities. They use Salesforce. You don't need to be in a big city. You don't even need to be in a in-demand area or, a high, basically standard of living area. Chances are there are people right there in your hometown that already use Salesforce. And if they don't, I can just about guarantee that within 30 minutes around you, there's definitely companies utilizing Salesforce that need your skills. And the fact is, there's a divide there, right? Number one, if you live in a rural area, there's less Salesforce talent guaranteed. Number two, it's harder for them to find Salesforce talent. So you would think theoretically they need to pay less because you live in a lower cost of living area. Truth is, it's harder for them to find professionals, so you could actually demand more. So there is a huge piece to that, and it's helping. It all goes back to us teaching you to show employers your value and why you can use Salesforce to lower their expenses and increase their revenue, therefore making you worth every single penny times 10. So that's all it's about.
All right. So I guess we should get to the number one most frequently mentioned obstacle that people are bumping up against. And before I do that, I just wanted to say that we've just starting talking about this program, publicly, sharing it on the Talent Stacker podcast and really letting the world know about it. And we have a pretty large network of nonprofits and business owners, small business owners, people that use Salesforce, people that don't, but they've gotten wind of what's coming. And I have a friend, she's a small business owner that messaged us after listening to the episode we did. It's the third episode of the Talent Stacker podcast, talentstacker.com/003. She listened to that as a small business owner that's not using Salesforce and just sent us this message. I love today's Talent Stacker episode, especially the part about translating skills in an interview. I've never seen a resume for any of my five rock star employees. What they did in the past is not as valuable as the skills that I need, and I wouldn't even be able to find that on the resume. So it was great stuff all around. And she said, we made a compelling case for Salesforce for the small business owner. I'd love to hear a segment from a small business owner as to how hiring a Salesforce expert improved their business. Additionally, is it possible for a small company to hire someone on a limited contract for a few hours each week or month? I'm curious to know if this service would help my small business in the future. Regardless, I think you can make the case for a small business owner and maybe actually drum up some demand for some of your course graduates. This is the key. Employers are selfish, not in a bad way. It's not a slight. It's not an insult. It's just they have a limited budget. They have limited resources. They're looking for someone that can help them increase ROI and decrease expenses. If you have the skill set, not the certification is an indicator that you might have it, but if you have the skill set, you can do that. They will do anything to keep you. And so I just wanted y'all to keep that in mind. We're going to come back to this thought and actually give you a couple other instances of this, but this is how powerful it is if you actually can do something that will help you develop this skill set. So Bradley, number one objection, let me go and pull this up and share it. By far, by almost a measure of two, people said the biggest obstacle is that I need real world experience, but I can't get any volunteer projects. So you need experience, but you need your job to get experience. So we can do volunteerism. Many people know about that, but they can't land a volunteer project.
Yeah. But before I jump in on this, I just want to make a point that joining this program is not just another course, another program that you go self-lead yourself through some materials, watch some videos, and you're done and you hope you get a job. We are here with you day in, day out, week in, week out, facilitating the process to make sure you don't slip through the cracks. If you're putting in 100% effort, we're right behind you with 100% effort. If you're over here, saying you don't feel like working anymore, you don't feel like focusing, we're going to put in the same level of effort, hopefully a little more than that, but you're not going to get the result if you're not ready to go for it. And that's what makes you better than every other person looking for a Salesforce job. You're not complacent. You're not looking to sort of, go have fun with it or get rich quick. You understand that if you put in the focus and the effort over the next 3 to 6 months, you are going to differentiate yourself. You're going to be the one landing one of these hundreds of thousands of jobs. So I first want to point that out. The other thing is, Jonathan comes from a massive community of helping other people, of sourcing people who are experts in their areas of interest and their focuses. And I come from a background of 10 years of Salesforce experience doing freelance consulting, big firm consulting, and W-2 work. I also come from a big background of helping other people not just land Salesforce jobs, not just get certifications, but to scale up to making $200,000 or $300,000 a year as Salesforce experts. So this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And it's no surprise that with this 1-2 punch, the network that we have in place, we have small business owners, mid-sized business owners, enterprise, decision makers, as well as nonprofit networks in place that are ready to jump in on what we're doing. They believe in what we're doing, and they are ready to put this in front of their people. That means that being part of this program brings you into that network. It brings you into that possibility and what we've already built, so that you're not just trying to get a certification. You're actually entering into a community that is going to fast track your route into the Salesforce ecosystem because we're already so ingrained in it. Now, going from that, let's answer the question. I am struggling to get volunteer projects, so I can't get any real world experience. So people are asking me, what real world experience do I have? And I have no answer for them. I just say, give me a shot. I'm a good learner. I can figure this out. That's not the answer, right? You need volunteer experience. It's going to give you a huge leg up. Can you get a job without it? Maybe. You're taking your shot. It can happen. Is it going to give you a huge advantage if you have volunteer and real world experience? Of course it is. So we have actually created a situation where we have a variety of nonprofits that are actually reaching out to us. They want to be part of the program. They want to help facilitate the learning. They want to bring people in and help them land their first jobs. So we have strategies in place to help you find volunteer projects. We've streamlined this so that you can do subcontracting or internships with Salesforce consulting firms. So it may not just be nonprofits, because there are a lot of people looking for volunteers that aren't necessarily nonprofits. So we have networks with those groups. We have networks with nonprofits. And here's our promise is that if you use our program and you use our strategies and you cannot find real world volunteer experience using our strategies, we will find them for you. We will place you ourselves because we know the strategies work. They just have to be implemented properly. So we can guarantee that you are going to get real world experience by entering into this community and entering into this program. You're going to be guaranteed that. So if you think that's your biggest hurdle, I've got great news for you. Hurdle over. We've overcome that obstacle. We're on to the next thing. So if that was your problem, get ready for your first job. If you already, and I've seen a couple of questions, what if I already have my certification? Is this for me? Yeah, if it's for you, it means that you already get to skip part of the process. If I said it was going to take 6 months, and I'm talking to people who don't even know what Salesforce is.
Bradley, could you define Salesforce? Like definition of terms here.
Right.
That's
Tell
fine.
me what,
That's
exactly.
fine.
If you're sitting here going, Brad, I don't even know what Salesforce is. I'm saying in 6 months, you're going to be in a job making $60,000 or more. And if you think I've overpromised, then just give it a shot, right? Because I'm not coming from guesswork. I'm coming from having done this with loads of other people. This isn't a guess. This is a repeatable process that we've made into a comprehensive program for you. This is for you. We are giving back to the Salesforce Ohana because I want people to see the success I've had. The reason we started this program is because I'm sitting over here working 15 to 20 hours a week, making $225,000 a year. And I see my friends and acquaintances and colleagues saying I can't land my first Salesforce job. And I'm going, no, 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 no. That's a problem we can solve. Let's bring something together and solve this problem. So we can do this. You can do this. You can start your Salesforce career. And again, 60 to 80,000, it's the tip of the iceberg, absolute tip of the iceberg. So we're ready to get you in and ready to show you how to do this.
All right, guys. So with your permission, we're going to go ahead and switch gears, and we're going to share it with you a little bit about the program, just so you know where to go. Post it in the comments where you can access it. You can also go to this, as I look at it, probably too long URL. I could have shortened that, but we'll work on that for next time. But anyways, go to this URL, type it in, Salesforce Career Dev program, and go to that website. It'll give you the offer. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here. Our goal is not to get you to pass the certificate. It's to have you in a job making $60,000 to $80,000 a year in a period of about 6 months. So that it looks like group coaching, it looks like community, it looks like membership, it looks like live workshops, mock interviews, just the works, the total works, everything. The goal is, it's not you just give up. It's you graduate when you get a job. You get a job, right? So if you want to be competitive, if you want to outperform those other individuals that are trying to just get started right now, if you want to be the first in line to get those offers, this is going to be the highway for your success. Like, this is the Autobahn, baby. Let's get there, because you don't need to waste your time with all these extra things. This is what you need to land that first job. And we're going to get you to that finish line very, very quickly. And that finish line is just the beginning. The beginning is you're in the job. You're making 60 to 80K. And now we're talking, what's the path from here? And we'll have this conversation. We'll worry about this after we get you this first job. Let's get you this first job. And then if you want to continue to work with us, we'll have a second conversation and say, all right, Bradley, I can't believe how you transformed my life here. What would it look like for us to get to $150,000? Or what would it look like to scale over 200? Well, it'll be a completely separate conversation. We'll separate it, but just know we're investing in you. We're investing our time in you. We're looking for 1,000 people over the next year that want to go through this process. And I'm going to go ahead and add a guarantee onto this. Let me go ahead and show you the offer real quick, and then we'll come back and I'll talk about this guarantee. So we're going to do a screen share. Here it is. I'm scrolled up. These are a few individuals that Bradley worked with that lost their jobs. I think in the case of all three of them, lost their jobs during the pandemic. And by working with Bradley, we're able to rescale into jobs making 30, 40 to K more. These are real people. Bradley can show you their actual LinkedIn profiles. They are now working in these jobs. So this is the program. And it'll have a little video talking a lot about what we just talked about here. And then this is what you get in the program. It's a 12-week pacing guide. You're going to get your first Salesforce certification. You're going to develop an online profile. You're going to learn how to build the brand. You're going to get that real world experience. You're going to learn the top strategies for finding jobs. You're going to go through guided interview preparation. You're going to separate yourself from the pack. You're going to get access to study groups. Those exams, they don't need to frighten you. You're gonna tackle them aggressively and be excited when you're coming back to the group saying, yep, done, moving on. A community of like-minded individuals, resume review sessions. Every part of this has been meticulously thought out. What are the sticking points? It's all here. Mock interview sessions with feedback, career development, and mentors to guide you on your journey. I'm telling you, if I were to look at the ROI on this, it's $12.97 if you pay for it in full, or you can do 6 monthly payments of $250 for those of you that need to be able to cash flow it. If you do this, the ROI on this is insane. Let me put it in perspective. You're going to be making, so for this investment of $1,300, we think conservatively, you're going to be making $60,000 a year in a period of 6 months. So let's take 60,000, divide that by 1,300, and that is a multiplier of 46. Now, in contrast, my pharmacy degree, which took up 8 years of my life, I paid $168,000 for. To get the ROI that you're getting on this, let's take $168,000 and multiply that times 46. I would need to be making the equivalent of $7.7 million a year to get even close to the ROI that you're getting on this. That's how ridiculous. That's why I'm saying, if I were starting over and I had listened to this, if someone had shared this with me as an 18-year-old, I would have gotten 8 years of my life back, probably be making more, and not spent 12 years. So basically what I'm saying, this is the highest ROI, single most optimized 6 months. And it's just because you watched a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live and you decided, yep, it makes sense. I can see what they're saying. I can see how they're connecting the dots. I'm going for it, right? The satisfaction guarantee here is we are so committed to you and your success that if you pay for this program and in 30 days, for whatever reason, you're like, nope, not for me, then it's fine. You get your money back, no questions asked. You don't need to give us a reason. I'd like one because we're trying to figure out how we can serve you better, but that's it. Our goal is not to sell you a course. It's to give us an incentive, an ability, a capacity to work with you over the next 3 to 6 months to get you in a job and watch your life be changed, and then be able to take that and put it back into the community. What does it look like when we're able to find 1,000 people that are willing to go through this process and become rock star Salesforce talent, to track their trajectory from, I didn't believe I could do this because I was studying and I didn't pass the exam the first 3 times, to, oh my goodness, I'm making 80K. And next year, oh my goodness, I'm on the path to make 120, 150. And then within 5 years, be making somewhere between 200 to 300,000. This is a replicable process that we want to work with you. And we're saying, we're inviting you into this. Work with us for the next 6 months. Let's see what's possible.
Yep.
All right, guys. We are basically done here. I'll take a few additional questions while we leave the offer on the screen. Hope, I'll put your question up here. If you have questions about the program, by the way, if you have a question you need on this thing, if you want to schedule a call, Bradley has a little bit of availability to do a few calls to answer a few questions. So if there's one question you have that you wanted to ask privately, or one big concern, you can schedule a call with him and get that answered. Obviously, we want to help you work through this. I had one other question. We had, I'm on the wrong screen here. Hang on. So Hope says, in your program, do you help with the rebranding of a resume, since it might be more reflective of our past, not as much of the job we want to do? I think this is key. The whole point is, you could go, if a 17-year-old with no job experience can go through this process, you have nothing but advantages. So yeah, a resume might be more whittling down what you don't want on there, but there is no reason that you should say, oh, because I, am in my mid-30s, mid-40s, early 50s, you should write this off. I've just done too much that didn't apply to Salesforce. That's silly. A resume is you're choosing what to present. And what you could present is what you're getting out of this program. By itself, that will be enough. If you want to add more because you can see the balance, maybe there's some additional capacity you have in middle management, leadership, business, communication. There's other things that you could add, but you don't need, when you're doing a resume, this doesn't need to be, let me hit them with 20 pages just because, I'm in my 40s and I have a lot of life experience. Bradley, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And to answer your question, yes, in the program, we are going to do LinkedIn audits and review sessions with feedback. If you check out the YouTube channel right now, I actually posted one of the LinkedIn audits that we've already done with some of our members. So you can check out one of those there. But yes, we're going to audit your LinkedIn profile and your resume in depth. You are going to get feedback to help you understand, number one, how do I make sure that I stand up to search engine optimization within LinkedIn? Simple stuff. This is stuff that, if your title is right and your about section is right, you show up in countless job searches when companies are looking for candidates. It's just like when you're looking for a job and you're typing in Salesforce. There are keywords that these individuals are searching to find candidates, and you need to make sure you land in that pool when they're looking for you, and they don't have to dig for you like you have to dig for these jobs. So number one, we're going to teach you how to update your LinkedIn profile to be technically accurate so that you can land in the search engine the way that you need to. We're going to show you how to draw attention when you're connecting with other people, when you're engaging. We're going to teach you how to write LinkedIn articles to draw more attention to yourself. We're going to show you how to post on LinkedIn with engaging material so that you draw attention to yourself. You are branding yourself as a Salesforce professional. And yes, we're going to take your job history on top of all of that, and we're going to convert that over to make sure that it scales and it transfers into a career as a Salesforce professional. Because let me tell you this, no matter what you did today, no matter what you're doing today, what you were doing last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there are skills that you utilized that make you more qualified as a Salesforce professional. I don't care what it was. I promise you, you learned soft skills. You learned the ability to, whether it's communicate with people, teach people, understand the needs of other people. You learned skills that make you a better Salesforce professional because of things you've done in your past. And we're going to highlight
email. No, That's awesome, man. Yeah. So Facebook user, there's a lot of you Facebook users. Is this only for the young ones? No, it's clearly not. In fact, I got another email from Anne, which I was going to address on a future show. She says, I'm 55. I'm rebooting my career after separating from my employer voluntarily with a nice package after 27 years. I'm starting the Salesforce admin path as I was, Bradley, sorry, all these terms, MS Dynamics. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Microsoft Dynamics, maybe?
Salesforce is the biggest competitor. Yep.
All right, sales. Who are these people? All right, MS Dynamics admin for 7 years. I think what you're doing sounds great. Does anything you're doing here apply to me? Seems like you're limiting this to young people. No time to waste for me. So please let me know if this is at all worthwhile for me. Will you be broadening your perspective? We are not limited to college kids. I personally,
Yeah.
selfishly, like because of my experience, 8 years of school, 12 years to get back to a net worth of zero, paying off $168,000 of student loan debt, starting in my late 20s, basically from scratch with a career that I kind of hated at that point. Am saying this is the best opportunity that's out there, and you should just. I wish I would go back and do this. This is what I would do. But if you're 55 and you want to get started, and is already bringing this MS Dynamics experience with her, it's never too late to get started. Now, I do think that Salesforce, you are going to, and it doesn't sound like this is Ann's problem at all. I think you're going to enjoy Salesforce more, and you're going to have an easier time of it if you can say, I'm comfortable with computers. I like to learn stuff on computers. Computers don't frustrate me. My mom, still working with an AOL account, and it's a 45-minute process. Sorry, mom, to get her logged into Facebook. Like, you know, but if you're saying, I feel pretty confident with computers. Now, this is not about coding. For those of you that are not in the, this is not a conversation about coding. I don't code. I can't code. But if you are saying I am comfortable, or I think I can, yeah,
I can't code. I make $200,000 a year and I can't code.
Right. It's not even separating you from a $200,000 a year income, coding or not coding. That's the biggest thing. I can't code. So if you are like, all right, I can set up a Gmail account, I can do a Google Calendar, I am comfortable with basic software tools like that, and I'm willing to learn new stuff and I don't get frustrated, or at least I'm willing to keep trying, in spite of that frustration, then you're going to crush this. That's it. I'm willing to learn stuff. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to lean in and let them guide the path a little bit. And yeah.
Yeah, I would say if you're in this state of mind where you're even thinking employers look only for experienced people, employers are only looking for young people. Am I too old? Does my work experience translate? I couldn't get a Salesforce certification because I tried XYZ and it didn't work. I tried to get interviews and I couldn't land a job. Take a deep breath. Understand that the answer is in front of you. Okay. Like, I agree that most things that sound too good to be true are too good to be true. I 100% agree with you. Every now and then, something sounds too good to be true, and it's just true. And that's it. And I'm telling you that right now, that is sitting in front of you, and it's telling you, take this opportunity. Don't miss out. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you are in this, you're 29 days in, and you go, I don't see the vision. I don't see where this is going. I don't see how this is helping. Opt out. You can opt out. But if I can guarantee you, you're going to get to 29 days and you're going to go, you're not even going to be thinking about the return policy or the guarantee. You're going to be excited about the future that you can see coming from a mile away. And you're going, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. I'm about to land this job and it's going to be amazing. You're not going to be worried about what the return policy was. You're going to be excited and talking to all your friends and family about this amazing opportunity. So just give it a shot. And so going back to the beginning of that, the way that you're thinking is you're in a negative mindset right now. And maybe that's because you've been burned. Maybe that's because you've tried something and you put a lot of effort in and you got beat, right? And you need to take a step back and sort of refresh and say, okay, I'm not going to be negative about this. I'm not going to have a limiting belief. I'm not going to pretend this is only for millennials or young people or old people or people on the West Coast or people in the US or whatever. Take a step back, understand that the opportunity is sitting right in front of you and you just have to say yes. And you're going to be moving into your Salesforce career. You're going to look up at this. I'm making a lot of guarantees right now, but quote me on this. It's recorded. It's going to be here forever. You're going to look at this and you're going to see people posting on LinkedIn in just a few months. And they're going to be saying, I did the Talent Stacker Salesforce Career Development Program, and I just landed my first job. And you're going to go, man, I should have gotten in on that. And then you're going to see another one. And then you're going to see another one. And guess what? You're going to come and you're going to go, okay, I'll do it. And it's not going to be $12.97 anymore. And that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying, take your shot. You've got your 30-day money-back guarantee. Put in the effort. Let us get you a job as a Salesforce professional. We can do this.
Yeah, that's it, guys. The $12.97 is honestly, if Bradley's making $200,000, he could just keep doing this on his own. He really could. I mean, at this point and at this price for 6 months with the result in mind, this is an active service. Like he's going to be leaning in, and there is a joy that you get from seeing someone's life be changed because they
Mhm.
didn't believe it was possible, and then they realize the results you just can't replicate. So
Mhm.
there's down the road, like just due to the sheer amount of time that he's leaning in, he's probably going to have to scale the price up. But at this point, for what you're getting right now,
Mhm.
we just hope you guys will join us and just get started. And we're just focused right now on your success. This isn't a course; it's a transformation. 6 months from now, you're making 60 to 80K,
Yep,
and you're sharing
absolutely.
it with friends and family. So
And let's hit this question real quick because we didn't touch on it, and it's a common question I get, and I need to answer it. How many hours per week for the development program? Is it self-paced or pre-scheduled? So this is what I would refer to as a bit of a hybrid. So it is not pre-scheduled. It is definitely self-paced. However, there is a pacing guide that walks you through the first 12 weeks of your Salesforce journey. And if you follow that pacing guide, that's how you stay on track for this 3 to 6 month window to land your first job. So if you take it slower, you can do that. If you want to take it slower, you have a full-time job, you have maybe family members you're taking care of or whatever else that it is. That's okay. You can take it at your own pace, and it might take 6 to 9 months instead of 3 to 6 months. Maybe you want to fast track this and you say, I've already got my certification. I want to jump in here and get it done quickly. We're working with somebody right now. He doesn't have a Salesforce certification, but he's sharp and he knows what he's doing. We're going to have him a job in just a couple of months. Like it's not going to take 3 months or 6 months or anything else. We're going to have him a job very quickly. So the fact is you can take this at your own pace. If you don't like 6 months and you want it to be 3 and you have the hours to put in, let's do it in 3. If you think that you have too many priorities and you don't have time to lean in on this, then let's make it 9 months. We can take it at your own pace. But if you follow our pacing guide and you follow the track within the program, you're on track for about 3 to 6 months, going from not knowing what Salesforce is to landing your first job. There are going to be weekly coaching calls. There are going to be videos going live, posting some of the review sessions from the resume, the mock interviews, the LinkedIn audits. All of that is going to be posted in the group and within the program. So you're always going to have access to view those, even if you can't attend. And I think the other thing is, you'll notice if you look at the program overview, if you took this slow, it's not that you get pushed out of the program after 6 months. Like if you don't achieve what we said we were going to set out to do, you don't get pushed out of the program. If you land your first job, but you still feel like there's value to remain in the group, you can still remain in the group and give your feedback and help others and give back to the Ohana. Now, if you don't have a job and we have not delivered on our promise within the first 6 months, we are here for you. So this is access as long as you need it to do what we need to do to facilitate this journey for you, to make sure that we get you placed and you don't fall through the cracks and you land your first Salesforce job.
Love it. That's it. All right. Let's see. Guys, we are all wrapped up. Now, there's a couple people that saw a comment down here at the bottom. This is a good one. If you already bought one of Bradley's programs earlier, is this just a repeat of something else that they purchased earlier? So for those of your people that have already gone through some of your resources or purchased one of your smaller packages, Bradley, would this add value to them?
Yeah, it adds an incredible amount of value. Think of my programs up to this point as a self-serve, go watch the videos, go read the content, check the boxes, and do your best. Now that's my program or my courses up to this point. And you can see those courses are like $100. They come at the value that they stand at, right? This is a lot more. Why? Because this is a concierge service. We are holding your hand, walking you through this, making sure you don't fall through the cracks. You have access to me. You have access to other mentors. You have access to so much more. So when we look at and this is going to answer a few questions right now. So a few questions that just came in. When does it start? I've already bought the other programs. Is it repetitive? I'm confused about the program. Is it like a class? So this is not a class. This is a self-paced journey. However, there is a pacing guide that if you follow that pacing guide, you are on track to land your first job in 3 to 6 months following that journey. You have access to a true Salesforce community where you can join in on study groups with other people. You can tag team volunteer projects together, and we facilitate all of this. We are doing actual live resume reviews, LinkedIn reviews, mock interviews. This is much more in your face concierge service that you are going to have access to. We're not leaving you out there to figure this out on your own. we are making sure this works for you. So this is not, this doesn't start tomorrow and end next week. It's not like that. Join the group. You're going to see very quickly exactly how this functions. And you're going to move through that course material, and it is in depth, and you're going to get everything you need. And then you're going to have the members only group and the weekly coaching calls and these live review sessions where you're going to be able to tweak those skills, get answers to questions throughout your journey, and make sure that you're successful.
This is a great question. I think it's one you and I really haven't talked a whole lot about it offline, but I think it's one we should kind of establish for
Yeah.
expectation management for people that are overseas or in another country. What is it? How would our guarantee translate to someone that does have border issues that you work to? So it's clearly not like one to one. If you're listening to this from India or from Pakistan and you're interested in this course, you know, the 60 to 80K is the US rate that is pretty common out there. We
Yep.
believe that these strategies will help you break through in your market and your industry. They're universal, but there are some additional hurdles. So I think probably in terms of reasonable expectation, what could they expect from us? Is it the exact same thing? Is it us helping them get a job in their market or overseas, helping them optimize their path, whatever country they're in, and then taking whatever information we learn from that process and applying
Mhm.
it to the group as a whole? Is
Yep.
that what are your thoughts on that, Bradley? How can we best help them?
I think that's right. And I think when you look at the 60 to 80K starting salaries, that is very honed in on the United States and Canada. So those are the highest paying countries for Salesforce professionals. When you go to the UK, even going to the UK, so you're going to notice, and really greater Europe in general, you're going to notice that rates are much lower. Even when you're looking at cities like London, where you would say, hey, that's like the New York, it's like a secondary New York over there. And the rates are not the same. So can we, facilitate this process and land you a job in Salesforce? Absolutely. If you are in a job market where the people with more experience are still only making $70,000, then yeah, you may have to adjust that. And most people that I've talked to that live in the UK understand that. And they're like, yeah, Brad, I get that. Like, I would start my job making maybe 30,000, euros or 40,000 euros, and I'm okay with that. But I just need to know that your process is going to land me a job. And I can say thumbs up, yes to that. Will the pay rates differ based on where you are? Absolutely, they're going to differ. If you're living in, in the middle of nowhere somewhere in a, and it's not anything about any country, but if you're in a specifically underdeveloped country that has a lot of demand in a certain area and wages are incredibly low, then yes, you can expect to make 60,000 USD. But will these processes facilitate your journey and land you Salesforce jobs effectively? Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys. I think we are wrapping up. Someone asked about a timeline on this. Bradley, you're still having conversations how long we're going to offer it at this price. I think we're really right now focused on the first 100 to 200 students
Mhm.
initially and just getting them through the process. So, probably once we have our first cohort, we will shut down the program while we just adjust and make sure the on ramp is very smooth for them. And then we'll open it back up at the new price. There's not a hard window on this. I would just say, though, really it's just the clock is ticking generally,
Yeah.
whether or not you pay 1,300 or whether or not you pay 3,000 a couple years from now. Like, the question is, did you wait 2 years until you were sure this is what you wanted to do, when 6 months from now you can be making 60 to 80K? At that point, it's a rounding error, right? So
Yeah.
if you're interested in this price, sure, think about it. Hang on a couple days, think about it, but don't wait too long. Don't, like, there's a lot of people that say, what, I think I can just do it on my own. But if that were the case, there wouldn't be thousands of individuals just murking around on YouTube and going to Facebook groups and just never getting the job. Stop procrastinating and focusing on exam dumps, getting our certificate. Just get started, get a job. This program will force you to focus on something that has ROI. It'll force you. You'll know the timeline is, all right, in 6 months, I'm just following the steps. I'm trusting Bradley. I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting that in 6 months I'll be in a job. So what's that worth for you? And I think it's worth every penny and then some. I know it's worth
Yeah.
multiples of that just based on my own experience. And
Yeah.
I would just say there's no hard sell. There's no close funnel. Intuitively after hearing this, this is worth many multiples of what we're talking about, just based on what every other person that goes to college is experiencing.
Mm.
This is focused on you getting the job. So if that's your goal, I want to get a great career, great job, making a great income with a
Mm.
great company, Ohana, then just get started, guys.
Yeah.
All right. We are shut down for the day. And Yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, specifically before you sign up, if you go to, again, this link, talentstacker.com/Salesforce Career Dev Program, and we'll copy it into the links one more time for you guys. You guys, if you still have a question before signing up, just schedule a call with Bradley. He has a little bit of availability to take those, and we'll answer a personalized question for you about the program. But that's
That,
it. Thank you for your time, your participation. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Like, find that Calendly link. If you don't see a time that works for you, jump over. You can message me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. That's linkedin.com/n/Brad Force. And you'll find me there. Just search Bradley Rice on LinkedIn. You'll find me there. You can message me. Happy to connect with you. And we will make sure we get your questions answered. Thanks, everybody.